This next section coming up right now is about the emotional reaction, something that you almost never hear about in business context, but it is so important in business context and beyond that. Let me first tell you about the two defense systems that a human body has. There is the immune system, that is the inner system where the body fends off any kind of intrusion, be it bacteria, or you ate something bad, or you cut yourself and something came into your body. The immune system comes and acts and it deletes the intruder and it keeps you healthy and happy. A lot of people know about the immune system and we eat foods to keep it up and we kind of count on it that it works. So that is a system that the current society is aware of and somehow does things to make that perform really well. The other system that almost no one is aware of, but it is even as relevant or maybe even more relevant than the immune system, is the fight or flight system. It's also called the stress reaction. The fight or flight mode is there when the body thinks it is under physical threat from the outside. So if something is attacking you, someone is attacking you, or if you are running away from a bear, your body says, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to shut down all inner functions. I'm going to pump all my power and strength in the arms and the legs so I can run and fight really well. It's kind of firing us up to be in a physical defense mode rather than an inward defense mode. So I've told you now about the fight or flight system and the immune system. And in this section, I'm going to explain to you how the fight or flight mode is actually kicking in. When something happens in our surroundings, usually being visual or acoustic, we hear the signal, it goes into our brain. The brain recognizes this as this could be a life-threatening thing, sends signal in the body, sends signal to the adrenal glands, and the cortisol in the body goes up, and we are ready to fight or to flee. So all the strength of the body goes into the arms and the legs, and you can keep running. It's a very complicated signaling system, and again, I'm not going to explain all this to you, but it's basically a functioning that's going past your conscious brain, and the body does that for you. Now let me talk you through the main areas in the brain and how they relate to fight or flight versus the immune system. I'm going to take you through this chart that you see here, where in the front you see the prefrontal cortex. That is the part of the brain where our normal functioning happens, where our thinking processes happen, where we can invent things, where we can act in empathy with someone that we see that maybe needs help or needs compassion. So the frontal lobe is our normal functioning area, and when that is on, we are in a good state where the immune function is functioning well and we are living a happy, nice life. In the back of the brain, more in the center, is the limbic brain. And the limbic brain is more in charge of defending ourselves and make sure we survive in the moment. So the limbic brain is kind of like the alarm button. It's the fire alarm in your body where you go, woo, 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 I have a problem here right now. And it basically shuts down everything else so that you can fight or flee. For most people, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic brain isn't necessarily something they work with daily on intention, and they go, oh, now I have to think through stuff in the prefrontal cortex, or ooh, now I'm in the limbic brain. I've come up for you with a simple example to show you what the different brains do and what the different reality in your life is. And I'm taking the example, I'm living in Frankfurt in the center, and I want to go to New York. I can go on a train, I can ride down to the airport, and I can go through customs and passport control, board my plane, and 8 hours later, boom, I'm in New York. It's a clear process. I know how to do this. And that could be compared to the prefrontal cortex functioning of a human being. You have a good process, you know how it works, and it's a really cool process. At the same time, I could also say, oh, I live in the city center of Frankfurt. 2 blocks behind my house, there is a fire brigade and they have fire trucks. Why not take the fire truck to go to New York? Because the fire truck is a really stable vehicle too, and I can take that to go to New York. So I go over to the fire brigade. I set the alarm button so everyone comes and runs in and says, hey, okay, what's up? And I say, let's go to New York. So I have to talk them into it because they usually don't go to New York with the fire truck. So I have to go really convincing and really difficult. And I talk them into it, and then we get in the car, and then we get on the road, and we have the siren on, you. And then we keep on driving, and then we drive towards the northeast, and then we hit the ocean. And we can't really go much further with the fire truck, so we go, oh, wait a minute. So what do we have to do now? Oh my God, we have to go to a city with a ferry. And how long is it taking? Days to go to New York? No, that's really difficult. That's a dumb way. I really don't want to go to New York. Simple example to explain what happens when you go after a certain goal with the wrong vehicle. And many times in our lives, when we think we have problems, when we're sick, when we see problems outside of us, when we see threats outside of us, in our brain, we actually go to the limbic brain, the fire truck, versus realizing that we could actually go to the neocortex, the airplane, to fly to New York. And for most people, really they're confusing the two, and they have no distinction when they are in which one. And I'm trying to get that closer to you and explain to you how this works. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how fight or flight actually kicks in. There are 2 major ways how fight or flight is activated. The first one is when you actually see a threat outside of you, like a car is running at you or someone's going wildly at you and yelling at you, then the body goes in fight or flight. Or, and that is a way more frequent one, and almost no one is aware that this is happening, when you see something in the outside, it brings up a memory from the past, an image from the past with a negative emotion. The body feels the negative emotion, feels it's under threat, and then puts fight or flight on. A function that we really don't need that way, but we have it all the time. And the more you realize that this is going on, the more you can actually go and impact how this is working. So a positive emotion, peace or joy or love or a willingness to share something with people, keeps the frontal lobe on, and anger and frustration and sadness, any kind of negative emotion pushes the functioning of the head back to the limbic brain. And I call it the dimmer in the head, and obviously there's no button in the head that goes back and forth, but you can run your own dimmer to be more on the frontal lobe or completely at the frontal lobe, or be more in the limbic brain, depending on how you react to yourself and how you manage your emotions.